Hi, welcome to another edition of Entertainment Elite. I'm Andrew as usual, and this is my co-host Todd. Today we're going to do our UFC 139 predictions. We're going to do our Kyle Kingsbury. Pretty much we're just going to do the whole card. We usually don't, but we're going to do a little different today. We're going to start off with Kyle Kingsbury versus Stephan Bonnar. I'm going to let Todd start off on this one.
We're pretty much agreeing on every single fight on the card here. I'm picking Stephan Bonnar. I'm going to say it's unanimous decision. I just think he's got way more experience in the trenches, had the bigger wars, and he's going to be able to edge it out. I look at this a lot like the Mitrione Congo fight from the last 137, where it was the young guy and the veteran just out-showcased the young guy who clearly showed he wasn't ready to be there. And I think it's the same thing here. Oh,
absolutely. I mean, and as far as Stephan Bonnar, we have kind of started off this thing. It's quite entertaining. We don't refer to him as the American Psycho. We refer to him as the Black Knight from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, because no matter how hard you hit him and no matter how many times you knock him down, he just keeps getting back up like he's not even hurt.
2 times in his career, considered 2 knockouts. They were because of cuts.
Yeah, he got cut twice.
Tis but a scratch.
Tis but a scratch. It's just a flesh wound. So we love to refer to him as the Black Knight. You're never going to stop him, ever. I will go with Stephan Bonnar. I will go unanimous decision as well. It's going to be one of those kind of fights that...
I think Kingsbury's going to show up. I just think Bonnar's got the more experience with the harder fights.
Absolutely.
At this point. And this is going to be a good fight for Kingsbury for his career, but I think Bonnar takes it.
Without a doubt. Moving on, we're going to talk about Rick Horror Story versus Martin Kampmann. I'm going with Rick Story on this one. He's never been knocked out or submitted. His only 4 losses are by decision. As far as Martin Kampmann goes, I really like Martin Kampmann. Anybody who's watched the video knows I feel that he beat Jake Shields without a doubt.
Never going to let that down.
No, I will never let that go. Ever. ever. Because he truly beat Jake Shields in that fight.
He did.
But as far as...
at this point, he's on a 2-fight losing streak.
This is true. This is true.
I mean, one of those is Shields, which you could say he won, but he did lose to Sanchez as well.
Yeah, that's a fact. I'm going with Rick Story here. I really like Rick Story in the way that he just goes about his fights. It's all-out action, and he usually comes out on top. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, but...
Yeah, this is going to be a great fight. Every fight on this card is the whole fight of the night material.
Yeah,
every fight you could be like, it's going to be...
It's got potential.
Got potential, and this is one of them. There's going to be a lot of fireworks. You got a really great wrestler in Kampmann.
Absolutely.
And Story's ground game is actually quite underrated.
Yeah, it's forever improving.
Yeah, and he does have great stand-up, and I could genuinely see him finishing this fight with strikes. That's what he's going to look to do. He's going to look to impress here. He's got to make an impression with the 170 division, how stacked it is.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Either guy has to, but I think Story's going to do it. I think he's going to win this with strikes, probably round 2.
I was actually going to go. It's going to go into round 3 because I'm going to look for Kampmann. He's not going to gas out.
Wouldn't be surprised if it goes to decision.
It wouldn't be surprised.
I think Story's really going to be looking for a finish here.
I don't say Martin Kampmann's going to gas out. I say Martin Kampmann is going to get tired though at some point in time because it's hard to keep up with Rick Story.
Yeah,
I mean he puts on a pace that's just ridiculous. So I'm going to go with Rick Story. I would say 3rd round stoppage. Not going to be surprised if it goes to decision at all.
Yeah.
So, moving on, this is the one that we're going to talk about for probably a couple minutes at least, because it is one that we feel is probably going to be, it has the biggest potential to be fight of the night. Uriah Faber versus Brian Bowles. Yeah, about that.
Yeah, Faber, like he said it earlier, he thinks his time at the top of the division has passed, and I kind of get that because he's still an elite fighter. I mean, he just had a 132 with Cruz. It was fight of the night. It was a great fight. And he was kind of close to beating him. It was a close. I mean, Cruz won it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it was Cruz's fight.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. But Faber, he was there, and
he never quit. He hung in the whole time.
I still think he's a contender, but I like what he said before we started the video that he's kind of like BJ Penn was for a while there, where he's just going to look for the big money fights, kind of like Koscheck now. Just going to look for the big money fights. He's
Absolutely.
not really a true title contender, but he's still a great fighter who can put on big fights. And I kind of agree that's where Faber is, whereas Bowles is sort of just emerging. He, of course, won the belt in WEC and then lost it to Dominic Cruz, which is his only loss of his career. And I think this is going to be a big redemption moment for him because winner gets a shot.
Yeah, winner gets the shot at the belt.
Bowles wants it bad. He really wants that rematch. So I'm going to pick Bowles. I think it's going to be unanimous decision.
Yeah, I'll go with the unanimous decision on that one.
I don't think he's going to stop Faber.
I had a brain freeze for a second there. I was going to say something else, but I really believe it's going to go to decision. And I definitely think it's going to be Brian Bowles. Yeah, I love Uriah Faber. Don't get me wrong. Huge Faber fans.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved Uriah Faber.
If we're going to do the fan picks, we would definitely pick Uriah Faber. But as far as the overall ability, Uriah Faber, like he said, is still an elite fighter. But I just think that his time at the top of the division, he's going to be like a gatekeeper. They're going to have to go through Faber to get towards the belt. And I'm okay with that. I want to see Uriah Faber. It's the same thing with BJ Penn. I want to see BJ Penn keep fighting. I just don't think
Though after Nick Diaz, I don't know that I want to see him keep fighting. He pretty much quit in that fight.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother day.
Yeah, that's a whole different day. But yeah,
You let me down though, BJ.
I'm going to go Brian Bowles by unanimous decision. Moving on here, we got the UFC debut of Cung Le versus Vanderlei Silva. This is a real easy one for us to talk about. Cung Le, and we're going to say Cung Le by knockout.
Yes.
Because...
Well, someone's getting knocked out in this fight.
And it's probably going to be Vanderlei Silva. And before we get tons of comments from the MMA loyal fans that love Vanderlei Silva and everything he's done for the sport, we never said anything about that. We said he's going to get knocked out. He's 2-6 in his last 8 fights, and of his 6 losses, 4 of them have come by knockout. Cung Le is 7-1, and every single fight he's been in has been a knockout. His only loss has come by knockout, and his 7 wins have come by knockout.
And the one guy who knocked him out, he in turn got a rematch and
knocked him out.
So
yeah. It's kind of one of those things where this is the knockout of the night candidate right here.
Definitely.
And it's probably going to be Cung Le over Vanderlei Silva.
Like, don't get me wrong, this is another instance kind of where it's like we don't know Cung Le very well. Who knows? Has he really been tested? Who knows?
Not really, you know.
And Vanderlei Silva, he's a legend of the sport. He's a great test, but how great is he really? Because like he said, his last 8 fights in his career, he's 2-6. He's 2-4 in the UFC. I mean, he's not at the elite state that he was before he entered the UFC. I mean he entered the UFC in a 2-fight losing streak.
That's about what I was just about to say. He entered the UFC on a 2-fight knockout losing streak. He got KO'd, I think, both times.
And went 2-4 in the UFC.
So yeah.
I'd like to pick Vanderlei for, like you said, everything he's done for the sport in his career. I mean, 33-11 to a guy who's 7-1, but at the same time, I think Cung Le's the younger, fresher talent.
Absolutely,
and I think he's going to get the knockout here. I just don't think Vanderlei is like Mirko to me.
Yeah,
was like Mirko, where the legend of the sport, but he's just at that point in his career where it's very much the tail end of it, and I think he's going to get knocked out here.
Absolutely. All right, moving on. It's going to be the main event: Dan Henderson versus Shogun. I got Henderson. I mean, that's all there is to it for me.
Though we did have Shogun for a long time.
We did have Shogun picked for a very long time, but when we sat here...
Because we doubted him going into UFC Rio against Forrest.
That was a mistake.
Part of that, though, I think, was more us giving too much credit to Forrest.
The fan pick.
Yes, the fan pick. And I think looking at it, it wasn't necessarily that Shogun was this incredible fighter. Because he's, 4-3 now in the UFC?
Yeah.
4-3, not a bad record by any stance, but not stellar. And it's not like he's lost to bad people. He's lost to Lyoto Machida, which some say he won.
Regardless, he lost to Lyoto Machida.
Regardless, he lost, and then he did get murdered by John Jones, but who doesn't?
Yeah, that's not fair. That's not fair. That's like saying back in the day, you got knocked out by Chuck Liddell.
The way I break this down, though, Henderson, better stand-up. He's never been knocked out in his career. Shogun's been knocked out twice. Both guys have fantastic ground games. Neither of them are submission experts by any means. Henderson's got 3, or what is he, lost 3 by submission?
Yeah, he's lost 3 by
submission.
submission.
Shogun's lost 2 by submission. Neither of them are necessarily submission experts, but they both are really good wrestlers.
Shogun has really good leg locks, and that's what
he does.
I mean, and if it gets down to the ground game, if Henderson gets sloppy, Shogun will throw in a leg lock without even flinching.
Much like when he fought Silva, not to put it, but same thing. He kind of got sloppy on the ground there, and Silva locked him right in the rear naked choke.
And it was the end of the fight, pretty much. I love Henderson's stand-up. I mean, do I think this is... I honestly think that he has the potential to knock out Shogun. This is another one that could be knockout of the night. Because I honestly don't think, let's say it goes to decision or starts to go 15 minutes, I don't think Shogun can avoid the right hand for 15 straight minutes. Nobody does.
Well, is this going to be a 3-rounder or is it a 5-rounder? Because aren't all the main events
That's
now
right.
5-rounders?
It's a 5-rounder. I completely forgot about that.
So it might have to go 5 rounds. Can he avoid his right hand for 25 minutes?
Absolutely not. I don't think so. And as far as the wrestling game, I definitely think Dan Henderson's wrestling is superior to Shogun's. I mean, you got the Olympic alternate.
Yeah.
I don't care if he is 41 or 42 years old. I'd like to see anybody talk shit on him and get in the octagon with his wrestling ability.
Absolutely.
Because it's not going to happen.
Though I think in this instance, Shogun, it's kind of even in the ground game. I mean, obviously, I'd give the slight edge to Henderson because, like you said, you don't take anything away from an Olympic alternate.
Yeah.
But I think that it's going to come down to the striking in this match. I think the ground game's kind of a draw. I think it's going to come down to the striking, and I think Henderson is going to outstrike Shogun.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely think so, too. The only thing that worries me
about
about Henderson...
Though I can't deny there is a slight bit of fan pick here, but at the same time, way less than Forrest from Rio.
The one thing that worries me about Henderson is he sits back and waits for that right hand too much.
And if he waits too long, Shogun can come in there. We do know when Shogun gets aggressive, that's usually when Shogun wins.
It gets ugly when he gets aggressive.
I mean, ask Lyoto Machida in their rematch. When he gets aggressive...
Ask Forrest in their rematch.
So that's the one thing Henderson's got to look out for. He's got to make sure that he tries to be the aggressor as much as Shogun tries to be the aggressor in this fight, or Shogun will win the fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Though I don't know that he'll knock him out, because, like we said, no one's ever knocked out Dan Henderson.
I don't think it's going to go. I don't think it's going to knock him out. If Shogun wins, it's probably going to go to decision. But I'm going to pick Hendo to stop Shogun. I'm not even going to try to pick the round because it could happen anywhere from round 1 to 4 minutes and 55 seconds of round 5.
I would pick Hendo by decision if it weren't a 5-round fight now. Now that the main events are all 5 rounds.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to stop him as well. I think there's a good chance Shogun could get tired. We've seen Shogun a lot of weakness too.
That's exactly
the first
how
time Forrest beat him was tired. Now you could say that was the difference of being in the UFC and things like that from Pride. But he's always been a little bit
the fact is
off in the cardio department.
We've seen Shogun get tired. We've never seen Henderson get tired.
Not that I know much about cardio myself. But you know what I'm saying. Anyways, I'm going to pick Henderson in this fight. I think it's also stoppage by strikes.
Yep. All right, guys, that's our UFC 139 picks. We look forward to the comments because we always love comments. And the next time you'll see us is when we set up for our UFC 140 show. And look forward to seeing you guys then.